Marilyn Monroe, the blonde bombshell.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Soapy Brain podcast. We took a quick break for the holidays, but I'm happy to be back here with Hammer.
Yo,
And just a reminder, my name is Kat, and today we are going to be talking about Marilyn Monroe. So, blue eyes, blonde hair, and a gorgeous body. Marilyn Monroe was the blonde bombshell of her time. I, for one, personally love Monroe. She was beautiful and smart and used this to get ahead in life. It would be a lie to say she wasn't beautiful, but unfortunately, her beauty did not last long. And I'm sure, Hammer, you are curious on why I'm bringing up Marilyn Monroe this week.
I kind of am interested in why.
Well, there are two conspiracies I want to discuss about her. The first one being she was having an affair with President John F. Kennedy, and the second one being the mystery around how she died.
Uh,
So I want to get into a little bit about who she was. Her name originally was Norma Jean Morrison, but ended up taking her mother's maiden name, which was Baker. She was born June 1st, 1926, and her mother was confirmed to be in an asylum as she was not deemed fit to take care of Marilyn Monroe, which left Marilyn growing up in 12 separate foster homes.
12?
12.
That's a lot of foster homes. I'm
In
surprised she came out as functional as she was, but at the time she really wasn't even that functional, so probably had a lot to do with it too.
Yeah, in 1942, she married young and was divorced a few years later. In 1954, she married baseball star Joe DiMaggio, but divorced less than.
I think it's a DiMaggio. I don't know. That was a long time ago. He was a very famous baseball player back in the day. You got a picture of him somewhere?
Yes. But they divorced less than a year later. And in 1956, she married playwright Arthur Miller, but they divorced in 1961.
Yeah,
And
she was
here,
crazy.
here is a picture of her at 3 years old with her mother at the beach.
Wow, where'd you find that picture
The interwebs.
at? The interwebs.
I just,
That's a picture you don't really see too often of her.
yeah.
Wow,
And there,
the 21-year-old portrait. Wow.
And there she is at 15 years old. She originally was a brunette, so she was not actually blonde.
Uh,
And she had these really tight curls, as you can see.
wow, I didn't know you could dye your hair back then.
Yeah,
I thought that was only a 1980s technology.
but she was a model, a singer, and an actress during her adulthood. She played parts of being the dumb blonde and sang songs such as Diamonds Are a Girl's Best Friend. And unfortunately, she died in August 1962 at only 36 years old.
Yep. Yeah, she actually didn't really turn out to be that bad of an actress either. So she was pretty decent. She had a few good hits, like every actor and actress. They got some. I mean, well, nowadays, bigger stars, they got bigger names, bigger movies. But back in the 20s, let's see, 40s, 50s, 60s, they're still kind of trying to figure it out. I think so. They still didn't really have it down to like we do today.
Yeah, and
But I
her
mean, it
to
wasn't bad. They were a pretty good movie. You ever watch a movie from the 50s? They're not that bad.
I watched clips that have her in it, and obviously it's not comparable today, but they're for what it was is they're
Yeah.
actually pretty good.
Yeah, yeah. Honestly, I've never seen a Marilyn Monroe movie, so I couldn't tell you. There's a movie called Some Like It Hot with her, Jack Lemmon, and I can't remember the other guy's name. Where Jack Lemmon and the other character are dressed up as girls to try to. I think they're trying to hide from the mob in the movie. And that movie, I think, was made for like $1 million, but it made I think like 20 million, which was a
Wow.
big deal back then.
Yeah. But her platinum hair was she actually went and had it dyed every 3 weeks to maintain that bright, like
Jeez,
color we know her for.
what an absolute pain. The price of being famous or
But
being in
here
the
are all of her
limelight.
husbands.
Wait, let me back up on that movie. Some Like It Hot. The budget was 2.9 million, and it made 49 million.
Wow.
No, there's Joe DiMaggio. I think that's his name. Yeah, I am not a sports guy. I could not tell you anything about sports.
But I believe the her husband James, her first husband, she was pretty young at the time. And she married him because she didn't want to go back into another foster home, I think is what I read.
So then, yeah, you'd have to be pretty young, I guess.
Yeah, I think she
Oh,
was definitely under 18. Let me do some quick math and see how old she was when she married her first husband, which is sad. That's very sad that she thought that was her way out. She was
right.
16,
It was a different world back in the 40s.
which is, if you think about it, very sad. At 16, she had already been in 12 foster homes.
Yeah. Oh, what do you do? Oh, there's that famous picture of her above the grate in that movie. What movie was that from? Was it from Some Like It Hot? So that was intentional. So that was for the film. Oh, I remember reading about it. What's this? Just her just hanging out?
It's her on one of the sets of her movies. I forget which one.
Completely different hairstyle. That's probably like when she was in her 30s, then,
I think it was like late 20s, early 30s.
huh? Okay.
But let's get into her affair with JFK.
Well, who's this guy?
That was one of the pictures from uh so you can't really tell because it's a black and white picture, but you can see that dress she's wearing. It's a her famous dress. It's a new dress with sparkles on it,
Yeah.
and it was on May 19th, 1962 that she wore it, and it was quoted to be shockingly skin tight, and it was a nude sparkly dress, and she wore it to sing Happy Birthday, Mr. President.
Ooh,
It was so tight she was sewn into it.
cheapers. You gotta be kidding me.
And
Uh,
I don't know if I just find it a coincidence, but this was in May that she sang the song and wore this dress. And in August, 3 months later, she was found dead.
yup. Yup.
Anyway, there was rumors going around that she and JFK had an affair as well as his brother. The two were introduced in
Cheapers.
1954 by JFK's brother-in-law, and their affair was to consider to have happened in March of 1962.
Hmm.
Funny how everything happened in the year of 1962. Had the affair in March, sang happy birthday in May, and then passed in August.
Then JFK was killed in 1963, I think November of 63. So in the motorcade in Texas. So he didn't die too long after she did. That looks like a Kennedy right there. That's not JFK, is it? No.
I believe
Almost
so.
almost looks fake.
I don't know if it's fake, but it was the only one I could find of them standing really next to each other.
Yeah, it almost looks like it's been put together. But I don't know. I'm not a picture genius either, so I couldn't tell you anything about how to dock a picture.
JFK's wife, though, her name was Jackie, and she allegedly received a haunting phone call from Marilyn. Jackie could tell it
Mm-hmm.
was Marilyn by her voice. She was calling to see if Jack was home, which was JFK's nickname. Marilyn then asked if she was speaking to Jackie and if she could just pass the message on to JFK that she called. This phone call was apparently the only phone that wasn't intercepted by the Secret Service, which was in a bedroom. So, how did she have access to this private number?
Right. So why did Marilyn Monroe call Jackie? Just to like rub it in her face, like, hey, guess what? I slept with the president too.
So, I think she was trying to get a hold of JFK,
Oh, okay.
and Jackie was just the one who picked up. But she was quoted saying that she could picture herself taking over Jackie's position as being the what is it? The first lady
Ooh.
or woman of the White House, I guess is what she said.
So maybe Jackie Onassis orchestrated this quote unquote murder.
Here she is again in her dress,
Now that's JFK right there with his head kind of down.
looking at her boobs.
Probably. Uh,
But let's get in.
Content advisory.
Let's get into her death. These next few slides do have some pictures of her dead, so if you do not want to see that, you are welcome to look away, and I will give you a heads up when all of that's gone.
All right, I'm gonna look away.
But Marilyn Monroe was famous during her life, but suddenly became overwhelmingly famous after her death. Why? Well, because the conspiracy that the Kennedys had like to do with her murder.
Supposedly.
So the cause of death was barbiturate overdose. Others say it was sleeping pills. I think it's funny that there is no conclusive because during her autopsy, her stomach contents were said to be completely disintegrated, and what was found was never cataloged on file and somehow disappeared. So if you passed, your stomach wouldn't just disintegrate everything. There would be some kind of remnants of it.
That
And the
doesn't even look
theory
like
is that
her.
her body had been tampered with, and that's just one of the many things people are suggesting. She was said to have died in her home in Brentwood, Los Angeles, California. The drive to the hospital was only 45 minutes away, and it took her body 6 hours to get to the hospital.
Hmm. Yeah. It's like somebody is. Oh wait, what's going on here? Yeah.
So that's her getting wheeled.
Why is her body all bruised up like that?
I'll get into that. Her
Oh,
body
okay.
and room also showed signs of a struggle. So she was unrecognizable at her autopsy, as you can see from that last picture. And people are saying that it could be because she was found face down like she is here, but others are saying if she was found face down, why is her whole body bruised and her hair
Look at that.
kind of
Look at
disheveled?
that gurney back in 1962 compared to like what we have today. Uh,
And here's
what else
another,
going on here?
this is another photograph of the room. So you can see it looks like stuff had
Okay.
been gone through.
Or she was just a messy person. I mean, she had a messy life, so. Whoa. What's that plastic wrapped around her for?
It's kind of like a veil
Oh,
for decency.
I want to be wrapped in plastic when I die.
And we're past all the pictures of her dead body. So, viewers, if you want to look back and kind of see the rest of the pictures that we have, the reason that it's thought that something fishy happened was because she used to have this little black book that she took everywhere with her. And she had it because she would write down information she heard, but it could not be found anywhere. Like it was
Hmm.
completely gone.
I wonder if Jimmy Hoffa has it.
And it was suggested that there was secrets about the Kennedys in that book, and that is why
Oh, I
they
believe it.
had her murdered.
Dude, the Kennedys, that's a whole different story right there. You could do like a 20, 30 part series on them.
Maybe we'll get into that in another one.
Oh,
But
yeah, it's going to take more than one.
her room was also found to be bugged, and there was no fingerprints in her house at all. Like it had been completely wiped clean.
Wow. Yeah, there was some high high on the ranks government authorities something somewhere reasons.
So the
So,
theory is that Marilyn Monroe knew too much, and the Kennedys had an FBI agent kill her and stage her death, and then pay off the coroners during the autopsy.
I you know what? I wouldn't doubt it. I really wouldn't doubt it. I don't put anything past the government. So, especially
Because
back then.
the fact that there was no contents in her stomach because it was all disintegrated, and then suddenly all the contents of her stomach weren't cataloged and then had disappeared.
I believe it.
And
I really do.
the only way that people can tell if somebody died from an overdose was by seeing the contents of the stomach, you needed that proof. It wasn't like you could just run a talk screen. You needed the proof. And so it was a um, suspected or possible suicide. It was never said a definite.
What about her blood? Is there anything about her blood? Like, didn't they do like a blood draw and check her blood for any of the drugs?
I couldn't find any information on that. All I know is that her stomach contents went missing, like somebody had messed with her body before she had reached,
Gross. Somebody stole her stomach contents.
well, or had set something up. She was missing for 6 hours after she had been found dead.
Uh,
So what happened in that 6 hours?
right, right. What did happen in that 6 hours? Elves. That's what
No matter the
happened.
reason for her death, it's been a tragedy. Unfortunately, she has not been respected in death. Her one-of-a-kind dress that she wore to sing Happy Birthday, Mr. President was supposed to be kept away, and she did not want anyone wearing it. She wanted to be the only one to wear it. But Kardashian, I will not name her,
Of course, a Kardashian.
she waved her money around and
Uh,
somehow got around it and wore the dress to the Met Gala in 2022. And not only was it disrespectful to Marilyn's wish, but the dress ended up becoming ruined to fit her overly dramatic proportions because she was not the same body as Marilyn Monroe was.
the Kardashians.
So, unfortunately, this historic icon of a dress is now lost its significance and
All because some dumb Kardashian thought she was important enough to put it on. But
yeah, pretty much.
stupid Kardashians. Why don't they like go away?
I wish. There's also rumors that circulate about her as well that just tarnish her name, kind of just saying that she was just really stupid and that she was promiscuous. And because she was seen as such a sex symbol, a lot of that has been negative as well, unfortunately, even though it's not true.
Yeah, it was a different time back then. It's not like it is today. Even 30 years ago, back in the 90s. So it was
Yeah.
even the 80s.
In the end, though, she was a beautiful woman that met a tragic death, and sadly, we will never know the truth of what actually happened to her.
So who do you think killed her then?
I think she was murdered.
By whom? The government? FBI agents? CIA? Secret Service?
I don't know who did the murdering, but I definitely don't think it was an overdose, like people are saying, because it was either barbiturates, which are like an antidepressant drug, I believe, and then sleeping pills. So nobody really knows what it was because there's no definite evidence of it.
And you got to think back then, like the president was put on a pedestal back then, like compared to now, like nobody cares. Everybody knows that. Well, even back then, everybody knew that a politician was a crook. Even no different than today.
I
So
think
even in
it's
the
just
1800s,
the huge scandal around her having an affair with the president. I don't know if it was him that orchestrated it or if it was his wife that said, you know, I want her out of the picture. I don't know. All I know is there's a lot of stuff that happened in one year of, the affair happening in March and then her singing the Happy Birthday, Mr. President in May and then
yeah,
her dying in August. It just doesn't add up.
you're right. And then there's somewhere I read that Jackie had said, the late wife of JFK. Now she's been dead for I think 20 some odd years. But anyway, uh, she had said that he would have a lot of affairs while they were married, but for whatever reason, the one with Marilyn Monroe really bothered her. So I was like, out of first off, any affair should bother you. So that just kind of goes to show you where she kind of comes from too. So like I think she was in there for the power as well, you know.
And I think it's because Marilyn Monroe threatened her position. She was beautiful, she was famous.
Yep. Yep. She kind of changed the tide of I guess how sex symbols go and then movies and all that. So sex sells.
Well, her signature walk in the movies where she looks like she's floating, like that very soft kind of sexual step she takes, is actually because she broke her ankle, I believe, when she was 10. So she learned to walk delicately on it and
Mm.
over time just kind of learned to walk that way. And it was just a mannerism she did. And that became her signature walk. And in one of her movies, it is the longest recorded walk on tape. It was 116 feet of her just walking away.
Do I have any more photos of her?
I do not. It's a lot of repetitive stuff where it's just, you know, her in her white dress. And then
Yeah.
the problem is there's so many, if you just search Marilyn Monroe, there's so many people who are look-alike or
Oh
Photoshop this,
yeah.
or it's hard to
Yeah.
find those actual pictures of her anymore.
Yeah. It's been like that for a long time. She set a trend for like the last what 50, 60 years, and people still I still see her image, whether it be like on a wallet or a purse or a shirt, or somebody's kind of got the hairstyle or what have you. So
You can't deny she was not a beautiful woman. Like,
oh yeah, she was a very beautiful woman. So
and unfortunately, I think that is what got her killed.
yeah.
What do you think? What's your kind of
I
thought
think
on?
you're right. Honestly, I kind of agree with you on everything. Like her beauty killed her, the affair with JFK, and it's still being under scrutiny and speculation that she had the affair, but a lot of evidence points to that they did have an affair. And really, the only two people that are gonna know are dead. Honestly, pretty much everybody from that time is dead. So I mean, leave it up to you. Leave it up to the audience. Do you think she had an affair with JFK? Do you think that the FBI killed her? What happened in those 6 hours that she was being transferred from her home to the hospital? So, or what if not the FBI, then the Secret Service? So, a lot
Or
of people
literally
love
anybody.
JFK.
They could have hired any hitman.
Yeah, yeah, but
They
I
could
don't
have
know, man.
they could have hired a hitman and then killed off the hitman.
Possibly, possibly,
Like we'll never know. It's probably in some file deep, deep, deep in the White House somewhere.
maybe. Yeah, Pentagon somewhere or something. It could be in your neighbor's basement in a box and they don't even know,
Yeah.
or the attic.
But that's all I have on this.
They didn't really have a lot of jokes.
It's a sad topic.
Everything said. So,
Well, I
oh
think
hey,
it,
by the way, I'm almost done with part two of the Sylvia Likens story on Life's Horrors on YouTube. So
oh good.
hopefully, yeah, I've had my own life's horrors to deal with, and then the holidays hit. So been working on the hopefully, I think by the end of this week I should be done. There's a lot more to it than I thought. Oh man,
I wanted to keep it kind of short and sweet because we are just coming back from the holidays.
that works for me. And everybody's tired.
Thank you all for listening, and we hope that you had a happy holidays. And don't forget to like and subscribe to stay up to date with all of our content we post. And stay soapy, my friends.
Bye.